107.5 WBLS, your number one source for R&B.
107.5 WBLS. Good afternoon to you. I am having the pleasure of looking at two very familiar faces from Red Hook Summer. Yeah.
All right.
We've got Colman Domingo to my left.
Yes.
And we've got Nate Parker to my right. How are you all?
Fantastic.
Glad
Thank
You're
you for
looking
having us.
fabulous.
Well, thank you so much. You know we do what we can for you.
Yes, I know. I see. It's been a long time since Red Hook Summer and a lot going on. First, let me just ask you, Nate, how are you? Because you know what? I have watched you over the last, I'd say a month or so, and I've watched what you've been going through, and I want you to know that there are some people out here who look and wonder and pray for you as well, and just want to know how you're doing, how you're holding up.
I'm fantastic. You know, I appreciate the prayers. You know, it's really for me. It's you know, I always say they don't know who my father is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm strong. Like, I'm at peace completely. I made a film that I think is desperately important for our people. It's desperately important to faith, desperately important to America, and I will not be distracted. I'm just pushing forward, trying to get this message of this film out to specifically young people who are now carrying the torch, to older people that I think need to bridge the divide between old and young, so all of us can push forward and really create the change we want to see in our communities.
Well, you know what? It's my objective in this conversation to let people know that although they may have a right to their own opinion, they also have a right to know this story.
That's right.
And to find out exactly what has happened to our people and how it may be still affecting us today. So I thank you. Let me just say thank you for even coming up with the concept. And now I'm going to ask you, why did you choose Nat Turner?
Well, for me, it was critical to right the wrong of history that was specifically done to me, being someone who grew up 42 miles east of Southampton County and never heard of Nat Turner. The fact that I knew more about our forefathers, you know, Jefferson and Hamilton and, you know, and Lincoln and Eli Whitney and all of these men that contributed to America, but none that looked like me. And how that affected my self-esteem growing up, feeling like anything that we'd had as a community, we should be grateful for because so many of our forefathers had sacrificed on our behalf. So to learn about Nat Turner as an adult and think to myself, wow, someone that looked like me stood for the liberation of our people, stood in the name of God and fought that we might be free now. And then to learn about Nat Turner and realize that he was not alone, that Denmark Vesey and Gabriel Prosser, you know, so many people stood. And that the lie was that we never fought back or we never resisted. So, you know, for me, when I became a filmmaker, I said, if there's any story I want to tell, if there's anyone I want to play, it is the Braveheart story of our community, and that is Nat Turner.
Wow. And how did you bring Colman Domingo into this?
Well, let me be clear. Colman was my very, very first hire.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I had the script. I had no money. I worked with him on Red Hook Summer, as you mentioned, and I never saw his work until the film came out because we didn't work that day together. Yeah. Man, when I saw his performance, if you remember that long tracking shot that was about a minute long, where it was the textbook dolly shot of Spike, and he's moving closer and closer to the pulpit, and he's not blinking, and he goes from peace to absolute inner turmoil. It moved me. And I know how hard it is as an actor to have the camera on you without a cut for a minute.
Right.
That means there's no editing around it. That means the take has to be perfect. And he pulled it off. And I remember, and so we kept in touch. And I said, when are you doing something else? He said, brother, I have a play coming up.
Arthur Fugard play,
Blood Knot. And I would love for you to come. And I was in New York, and I came and saw this play. And let me tell you, Colman Domingo is one of the greatest actors of our generation, and I keep telling, actually, I just told him before we went live on the air. I said, brother, I got a couple things that I want to tell you about because he's one of the very, very, very best. So I called him, and I needed an anchor. I mean, I'm acting, I'm directing, I'm doing the rewrites, I'm doing all these things. I needed someone to focus me and keep me grounded that I knew had the work that was the highest level. So I called him and said, man, I have this project. I sent it to him, and
And then you said,
and I said, absolutely. I said, whenever you're ready for it, let's do it. And you're a freelance artist, things come up, but you always say, I mean, this is the one project I said, we'll make time for this. We'll figure this out. And we did. I actually
Right.
booked the show Fear the Walking Dead at the same time
Wow.
that he was ready to go into production.
Uh-huh.
And I had to be strong enough, my wallet had to be strong enough to say, okay, AMC, we have to fit in this film. I have to do this film.
Right.
That's actually no discussion, actually.
And who are you playing in the film?
I play Hark, who is his brother in arms, basically, who is one of his brothers who gets this revolution started. And it was very important to me because, of course, as what this man has assembled is a group of actors and artisans and artists who are also activists.
Yes.
And we pray for a script like this to come along, where we can put all the things that make us who we are and really help us. I don't know, shine the light on our legacy, being proud descendant of slaves, to tell this story.
Right.
And also the people on the other side too, people who are descendant of slave owners. Honestly, I think for us to engage in a story like this is once in a lifetime,
Right.
and we want to be a part of this, and it became our mission. And so that's why I said, absolutely yes, whenever you're ready,
Well,
I'm here.
You know what you both talked about is bringing peace. What I'd like to do, because music has a way of doing that. So everybody that steps foot in the studio has to create a soundtrack to their life.
Yes.
What can I play that would bring you peace right now, that, makes you reflect on your past, see how far you've come, and brings you peace today?
I would say Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On." It's timeless. It's relevant now. It's personal. It's local. It's smaller scale. It's bigger scale, and it's Marvin.
All right.
And then
Well-
after that, I want you to play Stevie Wonder's "As."
And why is that?
As because it's about just the circle of time and who we are, and it's about love and love lasting forever and ever and a day.
107.5 WBLS. Wow. And what's going on? We're going to get another slice of Nate Parker's and Colman Domingo's soundtrack to their life after we find out, because I don't know too much about the original film, The Birth of a Nation, but a lot of people don't even know that there was one in 1915. And it was originally called Klansman. And when I saw this and I saw that the NAACP had such a problem and they tried to ban this film, I said, why did he choose this title? So now you get the opportunity to tell me.
That is right. For me, it's all about reclaiming something that was meant to destroy and decimate. D.W. Griffith really pulled a number on America with this film, and Hollywood, really. This is the first feature-length film, and it was a propaganda film that basically inspired white America to embrace white supremacy as a form of self-preservation. This is during Reconstruction. He was, like, as you said, it was based on a book by Thomas Dixon called The Klansman, and it was literally like a study guide to inspire the community that felt the most slighted, the South, to basically to keep what they had, and that was white privilege. How do we protect white privilege? Well, we have to bring terror upon these group of people, black people in America, and they did so by disenfranchising them. The Klan was inspired out of the need to stop blacks from voting at its absolute core,
Right.
And they did that through demonizing the black man. I mean, if you see the film, they're in blackface. There's even a scene where a white woman's running from a man in blackface. She jumps off a cliff rather than be touched by him. Over sexualizing the black man. It had scenes of us being in the White House. Funny enough, with our shoes off, eating fried chicken. It was propaganda in the same way that Joseph Goebbels used films to against the Poles in the Jewish community to destroy them.
Right.
And it was very successful. And it was, like I said, it was the very first film. So for me, for people to understand why, Hollywood is the way it is and why there's a desperate need for diversity, or to understand why America's still having problems with race, we have to look at the root. If not, we're going to continue to perpetuate this cycle that basically yields no solution. So I wanted to tether this film to that film, so people like you and other people who had never. So if you've never heard of Nat Turner and you've never heard of the original Birth of a Nation, if nothing else, you'll come out of this experience knowing about both,
Right.
and then associating Nat Turner with that title forever and ever. So now when our kids go to Google, this film, they'll have an option. They won't just have a film that makes them feel less than,
Right.
that basically holds up a light to their devaluing. They'll have a more triumphant piece of material that reminds them that the rebirth of this nation can be something that is powerful, that is strong, that is enlightening, and that destroys what D.W. Griffith tried to do for bad.
Now, because I'm sure that this has been a learning process for everybody involved. Colman, what did you learn in the process of making this movie that you didn't know prior to?
I learned so much more because as we all know, I think, especially going to public schools in America, that there's so much that we don't know about Nat Turner.
Mm-hmm.
Or even we touch on, we were enslaved, and then there was Martin Luther King, and now we have a black president. But there's nothing in between.
Right.
And so I think that this film has been designed for us to interrogate and investigate history. And so I've been able to do that by reading up more about who we are and all the complexities of it. I learned so much just by being on plantations, and I was honestly feeling the thing that I had no idea that I would feel, which was the psychic trauma of just being on the land, that it was in the air, it was in the trees, and it was in the soil. And it really, for the first week we were shooting, we did all night shoots, and we were just sort of holding on to each other, really, honestly, to really tell this story. So I learned about, I learned even more about pain. I learned about tenacity of spirit. I learned more about myself. I think I even walked away with it, even using the phrase that I don't think I've ever used, and now I'm a 46-year-old man, is saying I am a proud descendant of slaves, and really understanding all the complexities and all the love and all the stick-to-itiveness for me to be who I am.
Right. Nate, what scene blows your mind that you walked away saying, wow, I didn't know it was going to be as powerful as it is?
I would say there's the transition scene at the end of the film where we see a young man who may be looked at in a certain way in the film. I'm not going to give you a spoiler, and how the story of Nat Turner inspired him into the next generation and inspired his actions toward what he saw as a system that was destroying his people. And I say that because it ties us to the possibility of the youth. Biblically, it's the least among you can have the greatest impact. And that's why, with this film, I think it's important young people see it. Some people say, another film about slavery. It's not a film about slavery at all. In fact, this is a film about liberation and freedom. This is definitely more Braveheart than it is Roots. It's nothing Wikipedia about this story. It is something that, in my opinion, when you leave, you will be activated toward change. You'll feel as though, one, you have power to do something, but you'll also be asking yourself, how can I apply this feeling and this power that I do feel I have, the permission that this film has given me to put it towards something that is productive and something that can create the change I want to see for my children.
Well, I know there had to be roadblocks, because this is a rough story to tell, and a rough story to see and relive and revisit. What roadblocks did you meet because of wanting to make this film?
They continue to this moment. The first one was really getting people to recognize the potential of a Nat Turner story for America.
Right.
I always say, by celebrating our heroes, all of them, the tide will raise all ships. A healthier black community is a healthier United States of America. This is not just a black story. I mean, we need to, European Americans need to deal with their psychic trauma too, that has been passed down to them. We're all playing old tapes, so, from originally waving the script around saying this is an important story, and people saying, but that's Nat Turner, you shouldn't do that. And me being like, well, I don't understand. Like, what are we talking about? This is a story that needs to be told. Like, why are we not telling it? And feeling from people on both sides of the color line saying, well, if you make this film, there may be backlash, there may be, defense or what, and then just saying, you know what, the Lord has put this on my heart to make, and I'm going to make it. The second big roadblock was the financing. You can have a great idea, you can have a great script, but until you have the money, you don't have anything. I mean, geez, how many times I call you, Colman, and say, or you call me and be like,
Is it happening?
Is it happening? What are we doing? I have this thing overseas. Should I go? I'm like, brother, we are pulling this money together. We're going to do it. We're going to get this money. We're going to figure it out. And just not knowing where it was going to come from. and then pulling it from places that weren't in Hollywood. You know, it's like everything about this film has been unorthodox. Everything about this film has been outside of the system of how they usually make films, and I think that's a good thing. You know, had I made this film in the studio, I'm not sure I would have had the control. You might see a different film. It might be softer. You know, it may not, you know, be as authentic or real or as incendiary. You know, so, and then, you know, shooting, we only had 27 days.
Wow.
You know, on a shoot that my line producer's original assessment was that you're gonna need about, you know, 38 to 40 days to make this film when he first read the script. And I said, we don't have that much time, and we definitely don't have that much money. You know, so there've been a lot of roadblocks, but Nat Turner lives. You know, that's the mantra of our film. It was the mantra then, it's the mantra now, and having a partner like Fox that recognizes that. That, you know, when they bought our film, they never said, okay, we got it from here, you can leave. They said, how do we continue to support this in the spirit that you all have made it in? That is something you don't get all the time. So Nat Turner Lives became the mantra instantly. You know, if you watch the newest trailer, you know, where it deals with, you know, a lot of things that are happening currently in America, the courage that they had to say yes is something that I'll never, ever forget. Because, you know, anytime you're challenging privilege and you're challenging systems that have been around for longer than us, there's going to be pushback.
Right. Well, it seems like the roadblocks and all of the unorthodox things happening with the film and outside of the film has definitely prepared you to have a stronger mind and a stronger spirit to move forward. So I'm grateful to see that. What do you, Colman, want people to walk away from this film feeling and knowing?
I want them to feel, and I'm going to give a little levity to this as well, I want them to feel that the spirit of resistance is sexy. Because I think honestly, it's not populist in a way that you think that this will garner acclaim or it will be funded very quickly. But I think I want people to walk away with a sense of empowerment and knowing that they have agency in their lives, whether they are black, white, a woman, gay, lesbian, trans, you name it. I think this film speaks for everyone who embodies the spirit of America, which is the spirit of resistance.
Wow. The spirit of resiliency is sexy. I'm going to get the T-shirt.
Go for it.
All right. And I pray that this be a launch pad for many, many discussions very much like this, and hopefully a cultural shift. I thank you so much for stopping by today, but you're not leaving this room without giving me one more song from the soundtrack of your life.
You know what? I'm going to give you a song that's on the soundtrack of the film. We have, you know, I want to get young people. I went to, you know, work with Atlantic, and we made a soundtrack to the film, the Birds of Nation soundtrack. There's one song that my daughters can't stop playing, like, and so it's in my house all the time. K. Michelle did a song called Forward, and it's one of the most aspirational songs I've ever heard. And basically, you know, one of the lines in it, you know, at the end of every desert, there's an ocean. And she just kills the song. She does such a great job.
Do we have that?
Yeah,
Is that,
I'll get it to you.
Can you?
I can get it to you in we just released a couple days ago, so you can just download it.
Oh, okay, so it is available online.
Available. Yep,
okay, iTunes?
iTunes, yes.
All right,
Yeah.
let
I
people
play it
know.
for you
Let's
before
go
I
get
leave.
it.
Let's go get it. The
Run.
album, the reviews
Rush.
are amazing. Everyone's saying great things, so I think that'll help get young people into the seats.
Absolutely.
I want to piggyback on that. There's a song by Donny Hathaway, because I'm standing shoulder to shoulder with this brother, and it's a song called He's Not Heavy, He's My Brother.
Ooh, yes, indeed, and I remember that. And as long as you got people like that, brother, to stand on, it seems like you're going to be okay, Nate.
Thank you.
We love you. We're praying for you.
All right.
And I want everybody to go out and see this movie. It is opening this Friday. And I guess as early as the night before, too.
Yes,
that's
right?
right.
Exactly.
Is that right? Like midnight or something?
Thursday night, midnight showings.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get the word out. And guess what? If you're moved, if you're affected, let people know.
Yeah.
You know, because we got to get people in the seats, not just for box office, just for peace of mind.
Yeah.
You know, this is a moment of history that we are fixing. We're righting a wrong with this story, and I hope that we can tell more stories of our ancestors in this country, and in other countries that stood against injustice, that can inspire people to do better and be better.
There you have it. The spirit of resiliency is sexy, and these brothers have been just that, the spirit. You brought the spirit of resiliency in here today. I thank you so much.
Thank you.
Again for stopping by. It's 107.5 WBLS. Birth of a Nation in theaters Friday.